is we can go ahead and get into El El Donald. So apparently, the prosecutors in New York got his taxes. They requested his taxes, and now apparently they have his taxes, and they're looking over them, and they're gonna see if they find anything incriminating. As far as me and my opinion about this, I don't think that anything is gonna come of it, just because they don't want to set a precedent where they can lock up a former POTUS, right? So it's never happened before. I don't think it will ever happen. But maybe Donald Trump, since he's so good at being the first at doing shit, maybe he'll be the first guy to get locked up after being president. Chris, so what do you think? Do you think we should send him to jail for his?
He should definitely have gone to jail for inciting freaking insurrection on January 6th. But because nothing happened, nothing came of the insurrection that he incited. Nothing's going to happen with him lying on his tax return. Whether the money came, who knows what's on there? It could be anything. It could even be nothing. But the fact remains is that this guy owns property. Even though he's no longer in office, he still has power and influence. And we may talk about that later. How much influence he still wields to conservatives and Republicans to this day, even though he's so toxic. I don't think anything's going to happen, man. I think he's going to just live the rest of his life doing what he always has done.
Gio?
Yeah. Let's not forget that the New York Times had obtained Donald Trump's. I don't know if they obtained his actual tax records, but they obtained some kind of information back a couple of months ago when it was reported. And they revealed that he was struggling with like properties. Some properties were like struggling, vast write-offs, and hundreds of millions in debt that he was in. So it just goes to show that. So he fronts as a billionaire, right, and a really successful billionaire. It goes to show that he's a total fraud, and the fact that people believe in him and that believe that he's like a really successful billionaire and businessman goes to show that sometimes it's more about the charisma that somebody has than the actual facts, and his ability to front that fake persona is kind of what has gotten us here.
Yeah. I just want to comment on the whole, being exposed as being, a fake successful individual. I want to call out the people that argued for Donald Trump as president because he was a businessman. They're like, oh, he's going to manage the country like he does his business. And I always say, well, if I want someone to manage the country like a successful businessman, I want the best successful businessman, not this chump. Anyways, that's my little rant. Yeah, so I don't think nothing is going to come of it. If anything, is going to be like a slap on the wrist, or whatever discrepancies they find, in his taxes or on his taxes. He's not. I said this before. He's not dumb. Like sorry, he's not dumb in the sense that like he understands really well that if he was doing something wrong, he will have a way to get out of it. So if he is hiding something, I'm sure he has like receipts, just to prove that, everything is good. I forgot to carry the 2. I added an extra 0 in the back. My bad. Right. So they were just going to be like, okay, no problem. It's just too hopeful to think that, he's going to go to jail, even though he deserves to be there for other reasons, right? It was just like OJ, right? He ended up inevitably going to jail, but not because of what we all thought he did. It was because he kidnapped someone because he said that he had his, he had all his stuff, right? In Vegas, was it in Vegas? Something like that, right? He got caught up, right? So he held someone hostage and he ended up going to prison, I think, for a couple of years. So again, karma is supposed to catch up with this guy. Maybe it won't, but I mean, this too hopeful to think that something's gonna happen. But yeah.
Do you think that they'll like kind of air out all of like his debt and all that stuff, like kind of you know, like line by line, and just see really how horrible this dude is with like his money and all this stuff that he's doing, and like will it flip anybody at the very least? You know,
I will hope that it would flip some people, at least the idea that he is like a successful businessman, and I think it would just show how little character and integrity the guy has. You don't have to be a mind reader to just sense that this guy is a big liar, and he will say and do anything to manipulate people into thinking a certain way or doing a certain thing, right? Or maybe like was it Gio? Were you saying that he'll use his power, right? Yeah, he still is a person in power, so he'll use his power to get his means, or to get to the end that he's looking for. But I think it's just important to have it out there, man. Because we live in a society now where the internet is at scale. I've said this before, and more we find out more about people, right? It's not so that we could call them out on it, but it's just to have the information in front of us, just in case you need it.
yeah, I agree. And even now, I think I read a story not too long ago that a guy that donated a bunch of money to him for the investigation of Stop the Steal, he's suing him now for his money back because he's seeing that it was all garbage. So yeah, I'm hoping that at the very least they will air it all out, and the people who you know. At least use the argument that he was a good businessman, now have it laid out to be like, oh, damn, well, I guess he wasn't. And then maybe that little, instance could then snowball them to think that, oh, well, damn, maybe he was lying about that. Maybe he's been lying about fucking everything, right? Shit, if we could get a couple people, fuck it. I think that's the best it'll do. But man, this guy's gotten away with fucking everything so far, right? So it makes no sense to that they'll start putting him in cuffs now. So speaking of his stupid ass, he was at CPAC, and this is just this huge convention of all the Republicans that are stupid as fuck, like Ted Cruz, who did more stupid shit. Which like we all know, we love shitting on Ted Cruz here. They've been shitting on him on Saturday Night Live every fucking weekend. So the guy's just a dumbass, right? He's just like run of the mill fucking idiot, right? I don't understand how people like that get positions in government, but yeah, he never lets you down. So Trump was at CPAC, and it kind of sounded like I don't know if you guys watched the speech that he made, but it sounded like he was hinting at running in 2024. So I guess we're just gonna keep seeing him do these rallies and these speeches, and until he can't go anymore. He's not gonna be able to let go of the Republican Party and all these fans that he has now. I think that he's just as addicted to them as they are addicted to him. It's this weird fucking romance that they have of fucking toxicity. So yeah, Chris, you were actually the one who sent me the article that they used a symbol that was popular back in well, that the Nazis use. And I was having this conversation with Gio, and Gio thinks that it's just a oopsie. Right? It's just a little government oopsie. We didn't mean to use a Nazi symbol for CPAC as the stage, even though it probably had to get approved by a shitload of people before it got there. So, yeah, I don't fucking believe in oopsies, Gio. So this is the first discussion that we're going to have where I don't think we're going to agree. This is shit that they do, man. Like, they put these fucking symbols in all these places, and, all of a sudden you figure him out and you're like, oh man, this is some racist ass shit. We're like, oh, it's just an oopsie. I don't think so. Gio, talk to me.
Well, I wasn't saying that it was an oopsie or one way or another, right? Like CPAC is terrible, right? That entire conservative movement like puts horrible policies out. So we don't have to like agree that there might be Nazis within the group to say that the organization is a terrible organization. But what I was saying is that there's no way to prove one way or another. Right, like it's just speculation at this point. But if there are Nazis and they did design the stage to look like that Nazi symbol, I would not be surprised.
Chris, you're the one that sent me the article. What do you think?
I kind of like that oopsie theory, to be honest with you. But what I was also thinking, like, what if like these carpenters are getting paid, shit wages, and they're like, I'm gonna fuck over this CPAC convention. I'm gonna build this stage like this. I doubt that's what it was. I think it's more intentional than that. But a part of me is like, what if like a really like badass group of carpenters were like, all right, motherfuckers, like we're gonna build the stage for you.
Like that was their V for Vendetta moment, and they're like, "We're gonna fuck you." They bombed it with a Nazi symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
But I was thinking, just I still can't believe that even like when we were growing up, like during the Bush years, and even even post Bush years, we were able to talk about the Republican Party and the GOP in a way that was like, yeah, they're crazy, but we could have a beer with them, And now it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like their party really did get co-opted by this guy, and it became a real, honest cult of personality with this guy who took over the GOP. And it's unfortunate that you have Republicans who are still on board with the political party brand that are trying to ride out this wave, but they're basically having to toe the party line. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate that's happening to their party, but at the end of the day, they could have squashed it from day one. Trump gave them so many opportunities for them to ostracize the guy. But now here he is in 2021 talking about running again in a couple years. And he'll be like probably the oldest candidate to run, I think, ever. Right? Yeah. He's going to be like the Jars from Futurama. like, I'm Donald Trump's head and I'm running for office again. So I think it's pretty bad.
Hector, what say you?
Okay, so being 100% honest right now, I have no idea what the hell CPAC is. When you told me about this, I thought it was like a college basketball conference, like a new college basketball conference, a CPAC, Okay, yeah. So no idea what the hell it is. I'm interested to know what was the turnout of the event. They had people show up, right?
There was a lot of people not wearing masks. Like it was funny. Like the people there to see were not wearing masks, but like the people backstage that were working and on the sound and all that shit, like they were wearing masks.
So, what kind of people were in this event? Like
it's all Republicans. Yes, politicians like Ted Cruz, Republicans.
Civilians. No.
I think there was there's
probably
Republicans and supporters, right? Yeah. It's a mix of a bunch of them.
So what do you think?
The donors, and that kind of shit. Yeah.
Because I saw Ted Cruz screaming at me, and I don't know why, but it seemed like it was a small event. I don't know if the stage looked really small, and I saw I kind of 10 people in the front. Maybe,
I mean, most of that is because of COVID, I guess, because they can't have a huge thing. But I mean, yeah, if it probably would have been a huger thing if it was.
Well, for being in a pandemic, I thought it was pretty big. There were probably.
I don't remember seeing the crowd.
Yeah, there was a shot of all the way in the back, and there was probably several hundred people there. But it was like a medium-sized venue. It wasn't a stadium or anything.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So the whole like Nazi symbol, right? Here's my conspiracy. They know what it is, and they did it on purpose. Okay, and I want to say this. You know, in the last podcast we talked about the fake snow, conspiracy, right? And I said like if people are able to have and hold that position, then it's all fair game. So I could hold this position as well without any facts, right? I could hold the position of thinking that it was on purpose. And now I'm willing to bet my money, against someone who thinks it isn't. And I think I will win. So I think I will, to have my position, it's not just based on, just like some crazy belief, right? It's based on intuition. Okay, and when we talk, all right. So, for example, when we talk about the idea of racism, right? Someone always says you can't prove that was racist. You can't prove that person was racist. And I think that is very much true. I can't prove that someone is racist because I don't think that someone could be racist. What do you call inherently racist? I think that people have racist acts and ideas and beliefs, and it just comes out. Right, or maybe it was an accident, and they just, it just comes out. So it's really hard to point at something and say like that's 100% intentional. Okay, even though I said it's 100% intentional, but if you think of that idea that like you could show that someone has racist intentions, right, without 100% actually proving it because of your intuition. So my intuition tells me this was on purpose, right? And the intention is there. So what's up, Gio? What you got?
Well, yeah, if we were to connect the dots and say that like the GOP has been super racist for forever, right? And especially now it's even like approaching like white nationalism, right? Then you could come to the conclusion that that's exactly what it was. It was on purpose, and it's like a dog whistle to all the neo-Nazis in the country that, yeah, we're on board with you, and you're with us, and we're going to take over the country, right? We're going to come back. And yeah, and the intuition would be sound, But my only argument is that it's not provable, right? And so then we can't say one way or another for sure. And I could take, and I don't have a position on it really. Like I don't know if it was true or not. If it is true that they purposely built it that way, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised because we already know that these people are terrible. So that's my position. That is, I have no position because I don't have enough evidence for it.
Boo.
It's
No
sound.
position, having
Speaking like a
ass.
true man of science. Speaking like a true scientist. I love it.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear some of the issues that you care about discussed on Discussion Lounge, go ahead and drop them in the comments section.